A disaster strikes, a heartbreaking headline spreads, and before the dust even settles, the scammers are already moving, crafting stories, building fake charities, and preparing to prey on the generosity that rises in moments of crisis. Tonight, we're exposing the playbook behind charity fraud, the fake relief funds, the bogus GoFundMe pages, the websites designed to look legitimate but built to steal. We'll break down how scammers choose their targets, how they decide the perfect donation amount, and how they mimic real organizations so convincingly that even seasoned donors get fooled. And most importantly, we'll give you the tools to protect yourself, your family, and your community, so your compassion never becomes someone else's payday. Welcome to Fraud on the Front Porch, and the truth about fraud starts now. Hello, folks, and thanks for joining, listening, or watching. Today, we're going to talk about charities, disaster relief, and the overall scam breeding grounds created with purportedly good organizations intent on doing well, but finding themselves corrupted nonetheless. We'll talk about scammers, how they strike immediately after disasters, and how fake charities mimic real ones. And as always, today, joining me in studio is Sean, our former fraud furrier, who's once again here to dazzle us with his knowledge and stories around this fascinating topic. Hello, Sean.
Happy to jump in, Tony, because every real disaster casts a shadow, and scammers love to hide in shadows. And I will say, we talk about, it takes a special kind of person to scam seniors out of their money in the first place. I think it takes a doubly horrible person to jump in and impersonate a charity, not only to steal that money, but to redirect funds that are trying to reach people probably in the worst day of their life or the worst week of their life, reeling from a disaster where that money can make a difference, and setting up a fake charity and turning around and putting that in your pocket. I just think that is probably scum of the earth stuff here.
Yeah, you get no argument from me there. Sean, I think this topic might be one of the most fascinating, as I think it plays on and preys on absolutely every aspect of fraud, pretty fairly easily at that. There's psychology, fear, the fear of urgency, safety, isolation, and in some instances, we find legitimacy as well. And of course, at the end of the day, it's always about money, money, money. Um, Speaking of the numbers, got any stats you want to share with us today?
Yes. Seniors lose an estimated $3 billion annually. That's billion with a B, Tony, to charity and disaster relief scams. 1 in 4 seniors report being contacted by a fake charity after a major news event.
Oh, boy.
Charity scams absolutely spike in the first 72 hours after disaster. That makes sense. And the majority of them disappear after 30 days. Here's the worst stat, as usual. It's estimated only 14% of charity scam victims ever report the crime.
That's a shocker.
Yeah.
I know a lot of folks who've been scammed or reluctant to report. There's the embarrassment, there's the shame, and we talked about that quite a bit, but the 14% seems really low.
It is, and here's why. Underreporting is very common, and it's the result of 5 emotional and psychological barriers that scammers count on you having so they don't get caught. Number 1, you've already touched on it, is the shame and embarrassment. That's the number 1 reason why victims stay silent. Scammers weaponize that compassion when seniors realize they are, while trying to help other people, they've been scammed. They think, I should have known better. I don't want anyone else to know that I fell for this. So that shame becomes a wall, becomes a barrier that stops them from reporting. And scammers rely on that silence. Number 2, sometimes the victims don't even realize a crime has occurred. They think, well, it was just a small donation. Maybe the charity is just slow to get back to me, to respond. Maybe I misunderstood what I was donating to. These fake charities will go into it, look so polished these days that a victim might assume that the problem is on their end. rather than the fraud. And because scammers are using stolen logos, fake IRS numbers, professional looking websites, and they're putting those survivor stories in there now. And a victim may not even recognize they've been a victim of a scam. Number 3, they don't know where or how to report it. We talk about this all the time in the podcast, on the website. The FTC is a great place to report a scam like this. The FBI has their IC3 Crime Center for reporting. There are state charity regulators. So where Mark For You is headquartered in Virginia, there's an Office of Charitable and Regulatory Programs, and you can contact them if you think a charity's been set up fraudulently. And then there's the BBB Scam Tracker. We love that. We love our scam tracker on this podcast. That's another one. So look up those resources. Really easy to report fraud if you run into it. Number 4, this is a tough one. Seniors believe it won't make a difference. So a victim will often just kind of come to terms with it and say, well, the money's gone. I can't get it back. But they're never going to catch the scammer. My report won't matter. But in reality, and how many times have we talked about this on this podcast? A single report can shut down a fake website. So reports help our crime-fighting buddies identify patterns. They help them build cases. And really, if you get a fake website shut down through your report, you're helping other seniors in the future. One report can stop a fraudster from getting hundreds more victims. So always report. It will make a difference. Always report.
Yeah.
Number 5, I think this is the saddest reason. A senior might have a fear of losing independence. It's a worry. If I tell my family that this happened, they're going to take away my checkbook. They'll think I can't live alone, or they'll start monitoring everything I do and everything I spend. So they might stay silent to protect their independence, even if they have to absorb that financial loss.
Yeah, I can certainly understand the feeling of helplessness.
Yeah.
I myself have found myself in those exact circumstances in the past, and like you said, just letting it go. It was $20 here, $30 here, whatever it ends up being. But I'll share with you that there's so many stories of, like you said, one person making a difference. There's tons of them out there and we've talked about them before, where one phone call or one family member assisting makes complete difference of what ends up happening in the long run. And
Very true.
that whole philosophy of just sitting still needs to be reexamined if anyone's considering just letting something go. Let's go ahead and share a few stories of some fake funding and maybe how one person did make a difference in each of those. But before I begin, I want to share a few things about charities in general, especially those that are disaster related. Take you back to the Haiti disaster, the most recent Haiti disaster, where tons of charities got created. Some of them were legitimate, or lots of them were legitimate. The following is a list of brief legitimate charities that got created, even though some of the names might sound a little suspect. We had the Lambie Fund of Haiti, Friends of the Children of Haiti, Haitian Education and Leadership Program, good acronym there. You got HELP. Doctors Without Borders, very legitimate, well-known charity that does great work. Hope for Haiti, FONCOS, UNICEF. We all know UNICEF. They've had their tumult throughout the years, but by and large, very good organization. Save the Children, Soil, Sustainable Organic Integrated Livelihoods, Partners in Health, Haiti Earthquake Relief Fund, even though that's operated under a larger organization. And as we started to look through these kinds of charities, I want to note that there's no single source of truth regarding which charities are fake and which charities are legitimate. So much of that is discovered in time. So unfortunately, there's no public source we've found that categorizes charities as fake or legitimate early on. All that's learned in hindsight. So If you look for government agencies or watchdog groups or news outlet publications, trying to find that complete verified list is just really difficult to do. And that's why what we're talking about today, just relying on those tactics and instincts, becomes so important.
Yeah, and as a counter to that list, so we heard some of those legitimate names. I pulled up some fake names and fake name patterns
good.
and listen to some of these. Haiti Relief Alliance. That sounds legitimate. It's not. Haiti Children Emergency Fund. Haiti Strong Families Fund and Rebuild Haiti Now. I mean, you know, you're rolling the dice on some of these because those ones I just read are all fake. None of those are
They
real
sound
charities.
legit.
So it's hard to do that, but there is a way to kind of identify those patterns. So government agencies are warning us all the time that, again, fake charities spike. These things spin up in a tremendous volume after a major disaster. Most, if not all of these, are completely unregistered. They're not legitimate. Most of them operate for less than 30 days because they want to get your money and run. And they are, unfortunately, nearly impossible to track down once they are shut down. One quick plug for one of our other podcasts. We did talk about foul ball files on fake websites and how to identify that. So if you are listener, if you're here right now and you're staring down a website and you're not sure if it's fake or not, or whether you should donate, go back to that podcast and take a listen because we help seniors determine how to see if a website is legitimate or not during that broadcast.
Those are good ones. We'll probably share a few similar points as we go through some of these stories, but let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah. All right. I've got a few stories today, Tony. Here's my first one. This one was called the Gulf Coast Rebuild Fund. And they unfortunately scammed 1.4 million over 6 months. So it was around way too long. So this happened after a huge hurricane swept over the Gulf Coast in the U.S. And this charity, the Gulf Coast Rebuild Fund, appeared almost overnight. The website was perfect, immaculate. It had drone footage of destroyed neighborhoods. It had volunteers showing up in matching shirts. And one of those donation thermometers, you've seen them filling up every time a donation was made, rising by the hour. This group also made phone calls to seniors. So they got on the phone. They had a call center backing them up. And these people were claiming to be volunteers who were on the ground helping people who had lost everything. They used stolen photos from news outlets from other disasters. They pushed suggested donation amounts. They say, well, most people are given $50 or $100. We just want you to give what you can. And again, that's just preying on people wanting to help their neighbors, and wanting to help their neighbors rebuild. And the scam was uncovered after a while. A retired engineer in Texas noticed the drone footage on their website was identical to a video he had already seen on YouTube from 3 years earlier. Completely different storm. So he reported it. State regulators discovered the charity wasn't registered. That address was a UPS store mailbox. So it was just somebody renting a mailbox, and the volunteers who were calling was from a call center overseas.
Gosh.
So once discovered, the website was shut down in 48 hours. 3 people in the U.S. were arrested for wire fraud, but only 22% of the money was ever recovered.
Oh, boy.
So most people who donated never saw their money again. So this is it's a warning about how fast and how effective these websites can spin up after a major storm.
All these frauds have so much in common.
I know.
Oh, boy. All right. I've got a Wildfire Families First. It was a GoFundMe campaign built on ashes, right?
Yep.
How pithy. Scammed $312,000 from 4,800 donors. Fake GoFundMe campaign. using AI-generated survivor stories. So wildfires tore through a western mountain town. GoFundMe page immediately goes up. Wildfire families first. It went viral. The organizer claimed to be, get this, a local teacher who had lost 23 students in the
Oh
blaze.
my gosh.
Yeah, like bottom of the barrel type human being.
Yep.
The page featured heartbreaking stories, families trapped, pets missing. People love pets missing.
Yep.
Children who had written goodbye notes. Oh man, talk
My
about
gosh.
tugging at the heartstrings. Every story was AI generated, stitched together from real news reports and fictional details. Campaign spread rapidly on social media. It was on Facebook, especially in senior community groups. Updates were emotional. People were commenting left and right. $312,000, 2 weeks.
Whew.
2 weeks to raise $312,000. This
Awful.
is how the scam got discovered. A real teacher from one of the affected towns saw the campaign and noticed something very chilling, that the students were actually stock images. Nobody thought to see something sooner.
Right.
This teacher, she contacted GoFundMe. They launched an investigation. They found the organizer's identity was fake. The profile photos were AI generated. The listed school didn't even exist. And the updates were written by an AI text generator. All this going on in the background, and no one's researched it to this point.
Yep. Pretty common.
GoFundMe froze the account. The scammer was a 27-year-old living in another state. So somebody who knew about it but thought they could profit off of it. The individual did get arrested for fraud and identity theft as well. But this tool, I mean, this case just became a landmark example of how AI tools can quickly supercharge a charity scam, especially during disasters. And, you know, as you and I have discussed, this doesn't just happen with charity scams. You know, it happens with just about any site that will take money. Not every charity who takes money is regulated. That's what sites like GoFundMe are so good at, is that you've got sites like GoFundMe and Kickstarter, Patreon. They could just spin up a site like that. Nobody's regulating that.
Right.
But with good stories, good AI-generated photos, you can suck folks in pretty easily. They're all susceptible to scams, and scammers will use those sites, as you mentioned on the Foul Ball Files episode. These folks are using professional tools to take advantage of good-hearted but ill-informed seniors and many, many other people. Why don't you take us through the next two GoFundMe stories that I think were just downright abusive? I don't know if we want to share one or two of them.
Yeah, and GoFundMe, as powerful as a platform as it is, I mean, it just can easily leave the door open for people to come in and just create scenarios and invent situations and invent issues, and then share that across the country and around the world. So the first example I want to give is one called Rebuild Riverbend. So there was a heavy rains in a town named Riverbend, and a GoFundMe campaign spun up. Rebuild Riverbend, help families recover. This thing stole $187,000 from more than 2,300 donors.
Mm.
I mean, this GoFundMe came up within hours of the storm passing through. The organizer claimed to be a local pastor in town, helping dozens of people who lost everything. So they put heartbreaking photos of destroyed homes, children crying. Can you imagine that? So just pictures of crying children, volunteers handing out blankets. Yeah. And then the thing here is they posted updates. They just kept updating as if things were developing. We found another family trapped in the attic was one of them. We need emergency funds for food and shelter was another. And then please share this message. Every minute counts. And the real truth was the flooding in this town of Riverbend had been minimal. No homes were destroyed. No families were displaced. And the photos were stolen from a 2018 flood in another state. So again, nothing at all real on this GoFundMe campaign. Unfortunately, it was shared quickly on Facebook through, senior community groups, and the donations poured in. So, luckily, the end of the story, a retired firefighter who lived in the town of Riverbend saw the campaign and knew something was wrong. He recognized one of the destroyed homes in the photos, and it was a photo from a national news story, again, from years earlier. He contacted the local police chief, who verified there's no disaster relief efforts here, and they notified GoFundMe and launched an investigation. So at the
Wow.
end, the campaign was shut down within 1 day, within 24 hours.
Good.
The good thing about GoFundMe is they hang on to funds for a little bit, so they were able to refund everybody who had donated.
Awesome.
Scammer, who was a 32-year-old living 3 states away, was caught and arrested for wire fraud. But the neat thing about this, Tony, is this case is actually a training example now used for state charity regulators.
Love it.
So, good news at the end of that one, but it's just so easy to spin these up.
I know it's amazing how creative these fraudsters are,
I
just
know.
constantly popping and propping in moments,
Yeah.
especially the things that don't even exist.
Right. Right. Speaking of things that don't exist, here's my next example. Great segue. Here's Hope for Harper. Harper is a child who doesn't exist. Spoiler alert. This was
Shocker.
another GoFundMe. This stole $94,000 from 1,100 donors. So this one's called Hope for Harper. Help her beat a rare cancer. So imagine, we're still pulling at the heartstrings here. This went viral after a supposed mother posted a heartbreaking story about her 6-year-old daughter, Harper, who was fighting for her life after a sudden cancer diagnosis. So this page included photos of the little girl in a hospital bed, horrible. A video from the mother crying, horrible. Daily posts, again, they update these campaigns, Tony. They don't just set it and forget it. They're involved. So daily posts about the daughter's treatments, and then, of course, a countdown for the urgency. We need $10,000 for her next round of chemo to help keep her alive. No surprise here, the photos were all AI generated. The video was a deep fake, so very creative. It was created using a stock actress's face. And of course, Harper didn't exist. This thing got shared among seniors who shared it in church groups and neighborhood forums.
Oh man.
This got discovered. A pediatric oncology nurse saw this campaign and noticed something funny. The IV setup in those photos is not used in U.S. hospitals. So she noticed something wrong right away from one of the
Oh
photos.
boy, that's clever. I love it.
So she did a reverse search of the images, which we'll talk about a little bit later. She did a reverse search online and found out they were generated by an AI model. They were never taken in any type of real medical facility. And she reported to GoFundMe and the FBI. So again, good news at the end. GoFundMe froze the funds, refunded all donors. The scammer, a 24-year-old, was traced through payment records, and he was charged with fraud and identity theft. And so this one was groundbreaking because it really started the conversation around AI-assisted charity scams, because it's just getting so real that these individuals are using AI to create things that can really throw you off the scent.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for GoFundMe. They're definitely moving up the ladder in points with regard to their strategy of refunding people. There's a site out there. A lot of people don't know about it. It's also related to GoFundMe. It's called GoFraudMe. And a lot of people think that it's a place where you go and you you might get frauded, right? But actually it's a watchdog group for GoFundMe.
I love it.
And what it does, it actually looks at certain GoFundMe campaigns, if it's investigated them, and discusses whether they believe that particular GoFundMe campaign is fraudulent or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
amazing.
it's pretty cool. So I have not used it much. I've checked it out a little bit, but it's definitely something worth checking out if you ever get a GoFundMe request. That'd be the first thing that I did was I would immediately go to the GoFraudMe and see if there's any um, disposition that they've weighed on that respective website, similar to some of the watchdog groups we talk about
Yeah.
on some of the other websites. There's definitely a pattern here. I'm hearing, fake partnerships with real charitable causes and
Yeah.
institutions,
Yep.
scammers using stolen photos. Obviously, that's almost table stakes at this point, right? Targeting
Yeah.
seniors through phone lists, church groups, things spread like wildfire, and of course, social media. And then, as always, there's that emotional manipulation. I heard so much about the urgency and the heartbreak stories and teachers saying, I'm looking for my surviving kids. And oh, man, it's just, there's a special place in where for those kinds of people.
I agree, and I really wanna hammer that point home. I got one more to kinda
Okay.
highlight what you just said. I mean, it's real disasters, fake charities, and that emotional manipulation. It's just, again, terrible.
Go for
This one was called Hearts for Houston. So if you remember Hurricane Harvey, this is one that
it.
popped up right after Hurricane Harvey down in Houston, Texas, and they got $612,000 in 6 weeks with just a fake charity website. So after
I'd
Hurricane
work for
Harvey, so
100 grand.
we're
I'd
back in
work for
20.
100 grand a week.
Yeah, this is why they do it. Back in 2017, Hurricane Harvey, a charity popped up calling itself Hearts for Houston, and
Hmm.
it looked legitimate. Photos, again, of flooded homes, volunteers in boats, heartbreaking stories of families still trapped on rooftops. If you remember, there were people trapped on top of their home after that storm because of the
Yep.
flooding. So these guys ran targeted Facebook ads. So they are creating content, then paying Facebook to run ads to make sure they're targeting the right type of older adult who they know have previously donated to disaster relief causes. Terrible. They're using actual marketing information to make sure they're pointing their scam at the right people. The ads would use phrases like seniors helping seniors rebuild, emergency supplies needed now, every dollar saves a life. So that, of course, as you can imagine, the donations poured in. It was a national news story. Uh, uh, Eventually, a retired FEMA volunteer had noticed that several photos on that site were not from Hurricane Harvey at all. They were from Hurricane Sandy, which was 5 years earlier.
Oh boy.
So he reported the site to the Texas Attorney General's office. And again, investigators found the charity was not registered. The listed address was a vacant lot. The volunteers in the photos were stock images, and the donation processor was an overseas account. So at the end, the website was shut down. 2 US based accomplices were arrested for wire fraud, but only 18% of the money was ever recovered. So a lot of money disappeared after that one. Um, this
That's
case became, I know, this case became part of a national Department of Justice crackdown on disaster relief fraud. So unfortunately, if you donated to this one, it helped nobody but the scammers.
yeah, and I'm sure there's some training activity associated with that one as
Yeah.
well. I mean, there's an obvious creativity to these scams that just in some ways is mind-boggling and almost unmatched. The scammers are obviously devoid of moral guidance. Can't get much more bottom of the barrel than deceiving people with
You,
the
you cannot.
disaster du jour.
Horrible.
All right. All right, let's deconstruct these fraudsters a little bit more and get into the how, a little more of the how, what I like to call the interrogatives. Let's talk a little bit about how the scammers choose their donation amounts. What's going on in the scammer's head? How do they choose what platform to attack? How much to ask for? what demographic to assault. You want to share any insight into maybe some of these specific types of scams and how these scammers operate?
Yeah. I mean, these scammers aren't picking really donation amounts randomly. They're using behavioral psychology and data scraping and pattern testing to find the numbers they need. I mean, these are real world, corporate sales and marketing legitimate tactics.
Mm.
We talk about this all the time. These people are using skill sets that you could use to have yourself a nice, honest career, but these criminals just keep choosing crime. They're just drives me crazy. All right, let me fire through some of these. They start with anchoring psychology. So what that is, if you're in sales or marketing, Tony, if I'm trying to talk to you about buying a product and I give you three options, three different prices, you're more likely to pick the middle option than anything else. And we won't get too much into
I've
that.
heard that.
I'm not a neurologist, but if somebody wants to have me on a brain podcast, I guess I'd show up. But your brain is de-risking your selection by choosing the middle option. It's just something the human psyche is
Yeah.
wired to do. So if you click on these fake scam websites and it says donate $25, $50, or $100, they know they are pointing you to the $50 donation.
Makes sense.
And again, they're coming to that number by a number of different ways.
They do that
And
with tip prompting now.
yes, it's absolutely everywhere. It's for sure, and it's the way your brain works, and the scammers know it.
Yeah.
They mimic real charities donation tiers. So they will go to a legitimate site and copy the verbiage over. $35 feeds a family for a day. $75 provides emergency shelter. $150 supports medical supplies. So those numbers sound familiar. They sound legitimate. So instantly a senior might trust that's what they're buying for the charity. Another tactic, this is another legitimate marketing tactic. They are testing different amounts in real time through different campaigns. So fraud rings will actually run what's called an A/B test, which means you try one subset of numbers on one group and another subset of numbers on another group and see what flies. So one group might see, again, $20, $40, $60, and then a second group will see $30, $50, $100, and they run both those campaigns and they track which one does better, and then they push that version out to everybody.
Every corporation in America runs a similar marketing campaign.
This is like if you get an early view of a brand new movie and one version has one ending and one version has a different ending, and they run a test to see what the test group, which ending they like better, and that's the version they release to everybody at the end of the
That's a
day. I
great
mean, it's
analogy.
just the same type of marketing structure.
It's a great analogy.
Again, if you can figure that out and you choose crime instead of a career, I just don't understand the way your brain works. If they happen to get you on the phone, they use scripts, social engineering scripts. They'll say,
Yeah.
"Hey Tony, nice to meet you. We're in a lot of need here." Most people are given $50 or $75, but whatever you can do helps. I mean, that's social pressure. You're feeling that pressure over the phone, and it normalizes that amount. They
Yeah.
make you think about the bigger amounts where maybe you're considering 20, now they're telling you 50 or 75. They want to up that pressure on you. And then another horrible thing they do, which involves research. Again, they're doing research before they get a hold of you. If they know you're a senior's income level, so are you low income, are you high income, by other stolen data out there in the wild, they'll adjust what they ask you for. So if they think you're lower income, they're going to ask you for $10, maybe $25. If they think you're higher income, they're going to ask you for $250. I mean, they can buy this demographic data for pennies out there on the open market, and they
Nothing's
consider it
random.
an investment well spent if they can chase big bucks from people they think have a lot of money.
Nothing's random.
No, no. And they'll collect that money from you in a number of different ways. We've given some examples already. The fake websites.
Yeah.
Scammers do that when they want full control. They want full control over the site, everything. They want to be able to collect credit card numbers. That's the important one. They can't really collect your credit card information through a GoFundMe. But through their own website, they can collect all the data they want from you if you willingly put it in. They can give it a professional look. They mimic templates like the Red Cross, Salvation Army, local relief groups. Another strategy is, of course, those fake GoFundMe pages. So if a scammer wants that built-in trust right off the bat, GoFundMe kind of legitimizes that.
Okay.
GoFundMe is also built to be shared virally, so that thing can spread around Facebook, whatever your social media platform is, in a hurry. And they can tell emotional, heartbreaking stories, like that Hope for Harper. It's a heartbreaker. It's not true, but it sounds, it's a tear-jerking story, and those things spread. The more heartbreaking, the faster they spread through senior Facebook groups, for sure. And then a third method is just social media campaigns. I mean, they can buy ad campaigns on Facebook and target the groups they want. Seniors, people over the age of XYZ, people who tend to visit disaster recovery group pages. They can really, really zero in on who they want to scam. Has a tremendous reach, a very easy setup, and really, there's no verification on the social media platform side to see if who's buying the ad is actually legitimate. So they don't really have to prove anything to run a Facebook ad. So they can use an ad with stolen photos, AI generated videos, emotional asks like, please help, we lost everything. Tony, I literally just saw this yesterday on Facebook. The top post, I don't even know who these people were. I don't even know how it showed up on my Facebook feed, but it was just there. Please lift XYZ family up into your prayers. Lost everything, da-da-da-da. Might have been legitimate. I don't know. But that's all the first post was. And then you dig into the comments, and right there at the top, there's the ask for money. There's the please donate here. So they get you pulling your heartstring. You think it's completely innocent because it's just a story about, hey, say a prayer for this family. Net top level post, once you dig in, redirects you to a site to collect money. Again, could have been legitimate, just a poor way to set up asking for help, but that just that's red flags that just shoots alarm bells off. I don't know who these people were personally, so I can't say. I don't even know how to verify if it's true or not, which we'll talk about. But just yesterday came through. I mean, this stuff's everywhere. And one more quick point. Honestly, usually these sophisticated scams use all three of those methods that I just described. If you have a fake website and a GoFundMe and you can run Facebook ads, you are really creating that false sense of legitimacy, and that it's very impactful way to chase money.
And a lot of times you can do this with one person in AI, but a lot of these fraudsters have groups.
Yeah.
Like lots of people work in these things, not just one individual.
Yeah, a fraud ring is a real thing. I mean, there's usually groups that spin these things up very quickly and work to collect very quickly and then shut down very quickly. And they're not just casting a wide net, Tony. I mean, they're precision targeting seniors. I mean, well, it's a number of different groups really, but they'll target seniors. They can buy a phone list. You can buy phone lists out there online to get phone numbers for seniors. They will go and grab church directories. I'm not joking about this. So listener, if you're out there and you're a member of a church and you have a directory with your name and address or phone number or email address on there, and they are posting that online for everybody in the world to read, tell them to take that down today. Do not let your church directory sit online.
It's a great
wide open.
point.
Oh my gosh. It's just leaving it out there for people to take advantage of your membership. As terrible as that sounds.
There's a
There
100 things you can do with it.
Right. Yeah, and it's just personal information out there ready to grab, and these fraud rings know it. Um, they also use Facebook groups for retirees. There's also Medicare-related searches they can run to figure out who they wanna send these messages to, and seniors are targeted because they're generous, and seniors often trust official sounding language, official sounding callers. It's just that built-in trust that these scammers really want to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Um, it's doubly true for veterans. I mean, if you look at some of these sites we've already talked about, they use patriotic imagery, help veterans after the storm. They'll chase religious communities. They mimic faith-based charities, help your brothers and sisters rebuild. If they think a Christian community might donate, they will set up a Christian charity and talk about faith-based giving. Same with immigrant communities. They can create relief websites, relief funds in multiple languages. And then,
Yeah.
again, if they know where you live, they're going to target local residents. Help your neighbors in your town. Help your neighbors in the next town over because they really need your help. Just like that Riverbend example
That
we gave.
that one's the worst. Local folks getting
Yeah,
targeted.
and they figure that out because they run. I mean, they run their operation like a newsroom. There are people literally watching Twitter, FEMA alerts, weather apps, local news stations. They get on Reddit and read disaster threads, so they know where to strike within minutes. As soon as that news breaks, they're on it and building their fraud right away.
They work
They
hard.
I mean, they work very hard, and I mean, they're making money off the backs of good people, and that's just too bad. And they spin up these sites using AI tools like we talked about, fake stories, fake videos, fake updates, fake photos, and that just makes the scam seem more authentic. Again, we're back to the marketing piece. They're tracking emotional peaks, so they know donations spike when a disaster is trending, when it just happened. If a heartbreaking story, even a legitimate heartbreaking story, goes viral, they're going to piggyback on that. And then they also wait to see celebrities post. They sit on Twitter or other types of social media, and if a celebrity posts and asks for action, asks for help, they'll ride that emotional wave all the way.
Talk a little bit about the language they use. Um, I love words, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that how they foster all those emotional manipulations they like to get us with.
I mean, there's something called impact language out there, Tony, where the tone and structure helps drive you towards an action. So if I say to you, your gift will provide shelter, I mean, instantly you're thinking about, okay, my money is about to do something good in the world for somebody who really needs it. Every dollar counts. Help my family rebuild.
I
I
love
mean,
that
that type
phrase.
of stuff is, they call it impact language because it's very impactful, and it
Sure.
does drive you towards action. Um, and then there's the emotional piece. If I say that, help my family rebuild, and you see a picture of my children and picture of my pets and picture of other elderly victims, pictures of first responders working on a site, that those themes increase donations by 60%. For Yeah, 60% if you see a
Yes.
picture of those types of things.
The dog always gets more money than the person.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
It is crazy.
Um, Also, urgency. We talk about urgency all the time. I need your help now. Every minute matters. Emergency funds needed today. That urgency, again, tries to cut through your logical thinking. Your brain's got barriers up to stop you from getting scammed, and that urgency can sometimes get you to bypass those security measures.
Mm.
Um, And then there's language they borrow from other charity websites. 100% of your donations go to victims. We are a registered 501c3. Obviously, they're not. They copy impact reports, mission statements, taglines, volunteer descriptions. They'll just pull that from some other, like a Red Cross website or some other charity that's legitimate. They'll just steal it and try to blend in with the crowd.
My head hurts. I think everybody listening's head hurts. I mean, I think most people think traditionally. We just go about our day and we're trying to do the right thing. And, as we just said, somebody's out there working really hard. I mean, like super hard to separate us from our money. And they don't want to do it with a legit business or a great new idea or a service, but they just want to do it with deceit. They work tirelessly.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I mean, if I can call it that, it's weird. It's clever. It's scientific. It's creative. And they don't have to pass go. They don't have to pay $200. They just take, and take some more. It's sickening, really. It's just sickening. Sean, thank you. That was a lot to digest.
Yeah,
Fortunately, it's all recorded here. And like you said earlier, we just keep hammering these points home and hopefully some of this stuff will stick. All right, let's get into story time and a hyped up hurricane. This is the hurricane that never hit his town, but hit his wallet. Bill Parker, age 79, sat in his living room watching the news. A hurricane tearing through a coastal town 3 states away. He felt the familiar ache of wanting to help. Moments later, his phone rang. A warm and sweet voice of a younger woman said, "Mr. Parker, we're calling from the National Relief Alliance." There was that key word, alliance. Big red flag. "We're raising emergency funds for displaced seniors. Anything you can give will help." They knew his name, his city, even the church he attended. They offered suggested donation amounts. "Most seniors give 50 or 75, she said. It was just enough to feel reasonable. Bill asked where to donate, and immediately the caller guided him to a polished website with photos of destroyed homes and volunteers in matching shirts. In seconds, he entered his credit card number, feeling proud to help. But the hurricane never hit the town shown on the website. The photos were stolen. The volunteers? Actors. And the National Relief Alliance? It didn't even exist. Within days, Bill's bank account showed charges he didn't recognize, streaming services he never subscribed to, electronics he never ordered. When he called the charity number back, it was disconnected. His generosity had been weaponized, his compassion had been exploited, and he was left feeling ashamed, even though he had done nothing wrong. Bill's story is a reminder. Scammers don't just steal money, they steal trust, and they know exactly how to make their fake charity look real enough to fool anyone. Okay, Sean, it's time to fight back.
I agree. And let me give you a good detailed breakdown on how to verify charities and how to keep yourself safe when you're donating. So I've got 5 steps you should take before signing into anything and donating your money away. 5 steps, even if you think it's legitimate. Step number 1, Tony, we always say this, slow down, pause. Scammers want you to feel that urgency and do something in a hurry, and real charities are not going to pressure you to donate immediately. They're not going to say donate now. Now. Then step number 2, after you take that pause, is look up the charity yourself. Don't click links in emails, texts, or social media posts. We hammer this point home basically on every episode of this podcast. Do not click the link that is provided to you. Instead, type the charity's name into your web browser. Do a Google search on it. If it's a GoFundMe, this one's very important. Find somebody who is connected personally to that family or personally to that event and verify
I like
it's
that.
legitimate. You may feel like you're bothering somebody, and you may feel like that's a step you shouldn't have to take, but always, always verify.
It's worth it.
Yep. Yep. Number 3, check the registration status of the actual charity. Every legitimate charity has to be registered with the IRS or a state charity bureau,
Including us.
including Mark for you. Number 4, search for complaints. So go Google the name of the charity plus the word scam, or name of the charity plus the word complaints, and see what pops up. Because if it's a scam, you will have dozens of hits of people complaining about this charity online. You can always even do the who is search, which we've talked about on our fake website episode.
Mhm.
You can see how old the website is. Who's actually registered the website? Is it hidden? So
Yeah.
that's a good way to verify a website legitimacy. And then number 5, if they've got you on the phone, ask questions. What will my donation be used for? Is it tax deductible? Can you send me written information, written receipts, written verification of your 501c3 classification? Because scammers do not usually have that documentation, and they will be upset if you ask for it. And that's a big red flag. That's a big giveaway.
Yeah. They hate questions. Question, question,
Hate
question. Right?
questions.
So I have some personal favorites I've collected over the years that I will use. I will go to. First one I go to is Charity Navigator.
Love it.
When I want to verify legitimacy, I've got the website is https www.charitynavigator.org. What this one does is it rates charities on their transparency, finances, and accountability. It's a great site. It's got some lists of warnings and alerts. We've talked about this one before, the BBB, Better Business Bureau Wise Giving Alliance.
Yep.
That's https www.give.org. Again, checks for standards of charity accountability. There's a list of key indicators. What this website does is it shows whether or not the charity meets 20 related key trust indicators. And it also lists charities with unresolved complaints. Might be a legitimate charity that's poorly operated, may not want to give your money to that kind
Yep.
of fund,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily just have to be a fake site. It could be a poor site or a misleading site. And that's certainly something we would like folks to stay away from as well. This is one of my favorites, even though a lot of people are kind of cringe. IRS tax exempt organization search. Go to the IRS's site. It's at https slash apps.irs.gov/app/EOS. What this one does is confirms whether a charity is officially tax exempt or not. You just talked about it. Shows if a charity has lost its status. You might have a legitimate 501c or once was a 501c3 status organization. Got to be dropped. Why is it no longer have its status? Something wasn't working right with the charity. Probably don't want to donate to it. It's got the organization's legal name and their employer identification number or the EIN.
Yeah, that's key. They also, Tony, show previous year's tax filings. I mean,
Yes, the
you can go
990s.
see if this charity is 10 years old or 10 minutes old, because you'll see the tax filings in there.
Yeah, that's a great point. The 990, a lot of folks don't know about 990s. 990s basically are just financial disclosures, and you can go back and look at it on the IRS. You can website. You can look at a charity's 990s, and you can determine, hey, has this place been around for a
Yeah.
long time, or are they making millions, or are they making $10,000, or do they have no financials? No financials, probably a big red flag. You want to stay
There
away
is.
from.
Yep.
And then the last one, you mentioned this at the beginning of our podcast, was every state has an oversight office for charities. Here for me in Virginia, we've got the Virginia Office of Charitable and Regulatory Programs, and that's easily searchable on the web. You can find that along with a phone number that they have there.
Those are great. Those are great tips there, Tony. And I want to give a few more because it gets tricky when you're looking at a GoFundMe campaign. So again, GoFundMe is a great platform, a powerful tool for raising money for families and people in need, but scammers are exploiting it. And so here's how you want to go about if you run into a GoFundMe uh, platform that you're just not sure about. So number one, there's a GoFundMe guarantee badge on some of those sites where GoFundMe has actually verified that this is legitimate. So look for that badge. Those scams often will not have that.
Okay.
But you're kind of relying on GoFundMe to do that. But that is the first thing to look for. Number two, when you're reading it, you look for specific details that help verify. So a red flag on these fraudsters GoFundMe can be there's no last name. If you've got somebody in there with problems and they don't put a last name, that's kind of a red flag. If you don't hear a name of a hospital, they just say they're in the hospital, but they don't say what hospital, that can be a red flag. If you don't get a location again associated with that, if you don't ever see any updates, that can be a red flag. And then no photos, no progress, no receipts, no anything on there that would typically be associated with a hospital stay or a tragic event. If you're not seeing those, it's probably there's a good likelihood that it's not real, not a real campaign. We brought this up earlier. Number 3, reverse image search photos. So online on Google Images, or there's also a resource called TinEye, TINEYE.
Okay.
You can ask these sites to do a reverse image search, which means
Ooh,
does
I
this
like that.
image that I'm looking at now on this page appear anywhere else at any point of time? And they can show up, they can
Wow.
track down images that, oh yeah, this was in a news story 12 years ago. Here's the site it was on. This came from a stock photo collection somewhere online. And if you hit on any of those, it's a scam. That is a
That's gold.
picture pulled from somewhere else.
That's gold. That's gold.
Again, contact the organizer directly. A lot of times when it's legitimate, there's somebody organizing it on behalf of a family, and you can contact them directly. If you want to ask, how do you know the person you're raising money for? Can you provide a direct contact? Things like that. Scammers, again, hate questions and hate providing specifics. Number 5 is a big one. Check your local news. So again, we go back to that Riverbend example. There was no reporting of a tragedy. A real tragedy is going to show up in a local news report. If the story isn't mentioned anywhere, just be very, very cautious that is there actually a disaster happening or not. And number 6, this is really, really important. If you're on a GoFundMe site, only donate through GoFundMe's method of payment. Do
Yeah.
not leave that site to go somewhere else to pay to donate. So if you send money through something called Cash App, if you send it through Zelle, through Venmo, gift cards, do not send gift cards ever, or a wire transfer. If you do any of those methods of donation, your money is almost guaranteed not to be retrievable. If you send money that way, it's gone.
Yeah.
Uh, so if you're on a GoFundMe and there's pressure to move off that platform, off that website to donate money, it's a scam. Right away,
Yeah.
you'll know.
Like you said, check those URLs, see
Yeah.
where they're sending you. You can hover over the button, which in many cases will show you the address it's taking you to before you ever click.
Yep.
I suggest people doing that all the time.
Yeah. It's great advice.
That's how I avoid a lot of clicks that look really enticing to click. I was just talking about Cash App and Zelle yesterday, and I said to the individual, "You use those apps?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, I use them." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, they were comfortable with it. I don't use any of those apps, but
It's a great way to transfer money. But it's most of them don't have fees, so it's great. I
yeah,
can send you money and not pay a fee. I get that, but the downside is once you send the money through something like that, you can't get it back. It's gone. So you have to 100,000% know your money is going where it needs to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, I kind of want to wrap this up a little bit. I have a list of safe giving habits that I think I've heard some from you. I've shared
Yep.
a little bit. I'm going to run through this list pretty quickly. There's about 6 of them I want to share. So the first one is give to organizations you already know. You spent a lifetime figuring this out. In most cases, giving to organizations you already know is probably your best bet. Avoid door-to-door solicitors and phone solicitors. Just no reason. We've talked about it before. Never initiate a financial transaction on a phone call you didn't initiate
Yep.
yourself.
Yep.
Never donate by gift cards or web or wire transfers. As we've said, they're untraceable. You're not getting the money back. Number 4, keep a trusted charity list. Keep it wherever you want, but keep 3 to 5 charities that you trust. Continue to give to them, going back to point 1 that I made. And then number 5, as we just discussed a few minutes ago, ask for that written documentation or find it or research it yourself. Go after the 990s, annual reports, program descriptions, anything that can help you feel better about what you're about to do, i.e. part with your hard-earned and well-deserved to keep money. And then finally, try to use credit cards instead of debit cards. Credit cards are better in that in most cases they offer really good fraud protection. As we've discussed before, debit cards do not. They're getting closer, but not yet quite on par with the credit cards.
Agreed. Yeah. And that debit card's got instant access to your checking account, and that's where
Mm,
the danger's
yep.
at there. That's a great list, Tony. I want to add a couple more long-term protection strategies to it. Number one, if you want to just do this, freeze your credit. So my credit is always frozen. Just a fun fact there. I had my identity stolen many years ago. Someone tried to file for my social security number came up through the Equifax breach many years ago, and somebody tried to steal my identity and file for unemployment and open some credit cards. And I just have my credit frozen forever now. So if I need to open a new credit card or a new line of credit, I do have to temporarily unfreeze it. To do so, it is a little bit of a pain, but now I have that protection because I know through no fault of my own that my data is out there for people to manipulate and use. So I don't want them to open any kind of credit under my name. So again, freeze your credit. You can just do that year round. Just have it frozen. You need to reach out to Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion to do so. Another thing, sign up for scam alerts. AARP's Fraud Watch Network. The FTC has a scam alert. You can sign up for email alerts with those resources. Number 3, use a password manager. So that we talk about that a lot. That really prevents scammers from reusing stolen passwords. So here's why we talk about that. If I get my username and password, Tony, stolen on some website's breach, which happens all the time, happens every other month, it seems like, a scammer and a fraudster out there now has my username and password for one site. Well, they're going to take that information and try to log into a multitude of websites with it. They're going to try to log into Amazon. They're going to try to log into maybe Yahoo email, Gmail. They're going to try to log into all these well-known sites with that same username and password to see if any of those are a hit. So a password manager allows you to have different passwords for every website, every resource you log into, and you don't have to memorize all of them. You just have to remember the one password to open up your password manager. So use a password manager, have a different password for every website you log into. That is a big cybersecurity recommendation from me. Number 4, of course, we want to pause, question, and ask. Always pause. Before you donate, you just have to stop. Don't make an emotional decision there. Your desire to help can sometimes allow that urgency to come in and you donate to the wrong place. Number 5, review your bank statements monthly. I mean, just review them. Look for small test charges. Sometimes when they get access to your bank account, they're going to try to withdraw $1 or 50 cents, or maybe even put 50 cents into your account. I mean, it works both ways, and they're just trying to make sure they have access to the right account. And then if you can recognize recurring donations,
Mhm.
you don't authorize from unknown organizations. That's a huge red flag. And then
Oh,
always
yeah.
finally involve your family, involve your friends, or involve someone you trust to talk to
Perfect.
about this, to share. If you want to make a decision and make a donation, especially a large donation, have a conversation about that with someone you trust. Ask for help verifying the charity. And you want to have this open dialogue. So if you receive one of these weird calls or weird emails, you have somebody to talk to about it.
Yeah, I like those. Yeah, I think my favorite one that you discussed was the pause protocol.
Yeah.
Anything you can do, either individually or with a family member, excuse me, that initiates the pause, that's key.
Yep.
That's key. All right. Let's wrap things up with a quiz, and we'll do a intervention story, and then we'll close things up. You ready for the quiz?
Yep. I'm ready.
All right. Quick quiz. I think I have 5 questions for you today. We're going to rapid fire through them. First one, true or false? A charity with a .org website is always legitimate.
Well, that's false. Anybody can buy a domain with a .org on it. Now, in the advent of the internet, so giving away our age, back then you had to have a legitimate charity or 501c3 to register a .org website, but that is not the case anymore. So anybody off the street can get a .org website.
I asked a gentleman the other day, roofing contractor, why his website was .org. He said .com was already taken.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean,
That was
anybody can
crazy.
get
And
one.
it was a legit company.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody can
So,
get one.
what's the biggest red flag in a charity call? A, asking for a small donation. B, asking for gift cards. C, asking for your mailing address.
That's easy. That's B, asking for gift cards. They always want gift cards. Never buy a scammer gift cards ever.
Question 3, which tool verifies tax-exempt charities? A, IRS exempt organization search. B, Google. C, Facebook.
That answer is A, the IRS search tool.
Question 4, true or false? Real charities pressure you to donate immediately.
That's false. That's one of those urgency tactics that real charities will not use on you.
Awesome. 4 for 4. And number 5, what's the safest way to donate? Wire transfer, clicking a link in a text, or going directly to the charity's official website?
I hope everybody that's listening gets this right. That is C. Always go directly to the charity's website. No links. Do not click links.
Perfect. All right. We've shared a little bit of heartbreak today. Let's end on a positive note here. You have a story to share about Margaret and how her daughter stepped in to save the day?
Yeah. Yeah. Quick story about how one small pause, which we've just talked about, stopped a scam in its tracks. It starts with Margaret, a 76-year-old widow living in Northern California. She's sharp, independent, and one of those people who never hesitates to help when disaster strikes. So when those wildfires tore through the state last summer, she felt that familiar pull, that urge to do something, anything, to help the families who'd lost their homes. After those fires, she got a call from a charity calling itself California Wildfire Family Relief Fund. The caller sounded polished, compassionate, and even mentioned the exact towns she had seen on the news. And then he asked for a $500 donation, saying most seniors were giving that amount. Now, Margaret had the money, and she had the heart, and she was ready to give. She had her credit card in her hand. She almost read her credit card number out loud, but something, a tiny little something, made her pause. Something didn't feel right. Maybe it was the speed of the call. Maybe it was that pressure to give. Maybe it was the fact that the caller seemed too prepared. She told the caller she needed to talk to her daughter first. So she did, and her daughter Lisa did a 30-second check on give.org, which you mentioned earlier, Tony. There was no listing, no history, no record of this charity ever even existing. And that was the big red flag there. So Lisa reported it through the BBB scam tracker and the FTC. And within 48 hours, the fake charity website, which had launched the same day as the phone call came in, was taken down. So they were gone before it could steal a single dollar. And here's the lesson from all of this. Margaret didn't need to be a fraud expert. She just needed to pause, question the circumstances she was in, and then ask someone she trusted and let the tools do the rest. That tiny moment of hesitation protected her and helped shut down a scam targeting hundreds of seniors across the state.
I really like that story. The wildfires were such a horrific event. I'm just really glad to see that among the physical destruction, at least someone stopped some of the financial destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. All right, let's wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
Pause, question, and ask for help. We've covered the rest.
Good enough. All right. Thanks for being here, Sean, today. Appreciate it. And until next time.
Hey, thanks, Tony. That was a fun take on a really tough topic.
Charity scams don't just steal money. They steal hope, compassion, and trust. But tonight, you learned how these schemes work and how to stop them before they start. You learned the red flags, the tools, the questions to ask, and the steps to take before giving. You learned how scammers target seniors, how they exploit disasters, and how they weaponize urgency. And most importantly, you learned how to protect yourself and your loved ones with knowledge, caution, and confidence. And like Margaret, always remember to pause, question, and ask for help.